did videos on the latter years. It's only fair that I talk about the starting point. The year was 2022. The war for Cybertron is over and people were ready for Generation's next endeavor. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait long because the next line was officially announced. Okay, the figures were officially revealed. We knew what the next line was because of an inside job, but that wasn't anything new at the time. The line was, and still is at this point in time, called Legacy, and it seeked to not only give us figures that were on par with the WFC, not only to give us more Beast Wars characters, but also was allowed to break out of that time period and give characters of Prime and the Unicron trilogy some time in the spotlight. There was excitement in the air, however, there was a catch. To make sure these characters don't look out of place when stood next to the figures of the WFC, Marklonis and co. decided to give the TF Prime characters an oversimplification makeover to push them into a G1 aesthetic. Or in Bulkhead's case, completely changed everything about him. The UT designs definitely looked like they could have came out of G1, so just remove enough details and we're cool as ice. You know, unlike the backlash they got for this decision. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago and once again the next. But now's the time to give you my full side of the story, cause it's a long one. While it was born in 2000, making me a part of this elite group of humans, I didn't become aware of the Transformers franchise until 2007 with the advent of, you guessed it, the original Michael Bay movie. However, I didn't watch it in full until recently. I had a few of the figures from each of the movie lines, but now most of them are gone and the 4 I still have I barely interact with, and it's definitely due to my apathy towards the Bay designs. Because for every Jazz, Lockdown, Movie 3 Soundwave, and Nitro Zeus, there's a Wheelie, a Devastator, a Movie 2 Soundwave, and a Q for some real stink. It wasn't until a random day in late or mid 2014 when I was flipping through channels when I stumbled upon Discovery Family, formerly known as The Hub. Not that hub! And was smack dab in the middle of the episode that introduced the space bridge. And ever since, my addiction only grew stronger and the only way to get me to stop is to take me out like Bambi's mom. The main point is, by all technicality, the Generation 1 cartoon was my first Transformers experience and I hold it very dearly. However, that doesn't mean I'm one to put down other parts of this expansive franchise. Well, except for you. Choke on your own spit. My collection mainly consists of G1 characters, however over time I wanted to represent other parts of the series. Admittedly, I haven't been doing the best job, parts of the franchise haven't exactly inspired me due to quality, but certain characters I definitely have a close eye on. That's where Legacy comes into play, and in the case of their redesigns, well... Now don't get me wrong, it's absolutely frustrating when a character's design gets butchered by greedy executives in the name of doing something new. However, thanks to extensive research, I'll be honest guys, the Prime designs never led themselves to good toys, and if making them normal action figures didn't work, then I'm all good on this decision. Especially when the figures came out and were completely enjoyable. But wait a minute, I can't jump into the video's main topic yet, there's I didn't buy. Again. Unlike Evolution and United, I actually went out of my way to collect mostly everything. However, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I didn't buy Laser Prime and Elita 1, but instead RID-01 Scourge, Nemesis Prime, and Minerva. So again, mostly complete. Things I didn't buy consist of the following. The package refreshes cause I have and don't have them in most cases. Those will be talked about in other videos. There was rightfully an internet frenzy over Cosmos because those dumbass executives still haven't learned that making a somewhat major character an exclusive never goes well. But what am I complaining? I knew he was going to sell out the millisecond he was revealed. Plus, I prefer the look of the TR. Just like how I prefer the Insecticons to be shorter than everyone else. So thank God the LE, Bombshell, and Shrapnel were off-putting so I didn't have to feel guilty about not buying Kickback. And speaking of off-putting, why doesn't this have the Japanese head and the Target Master is bigger than these two jokers, so where the f is my posability? In retrospect, this guy was everywhere and I should have got him. However, that means I would have to complete this group, and 1, I can't financially do that right now, and 2, Medix has the better colors anyway. Probably should get him 2 while the cooking's still good. Don't have the space for Titans. 86 Cup. Convince me that Blitzwing's tank mode doesn't look as bad as his jet mode and I'll buy every single misfire on eBay that hasn't been scalped. And couldn't think of a statement for every last one of these, so I'll just say I wasn't interested. Although, I do have a stand-in for this guy who's also a stand-in for this guy. I call him Slapfoot. Again, not gonna pressure myself into getting any of this, but if I do happen to obtain them, expect some shorts in the possible future. As for the present, we have a majority of the main line, and there's a lot to cover. So to make sure I don't kill myself in the editing process again, the visuals are gonna be limited, and I'm gonna describe everything in 3 or 4 sentences. I was originally gonna use bracket fight, but I didn't like how the final result came out. So if I ever make a Patreon, one of the first things that'll be up there is a video of me being a stuttering dumbass. But without further ado, it's great that they use the Pretender shell. The bike doesn't have a real kickstand, but a mutant doesn't have to explain and who's actually gonna ride him. Either way, neat for 10 bucks. I can see where Prime fans are coming when it comes to the redesigns because RC looks too generic. But as a figure, her posing is alright and her accessories and transformation is eloquent enough. However, when it comes to her blaze, instead of doing this, I prefer to do this, and I don't bother with the parts forming. I mean, you already redesigned her enough, there's no reason to make her slimmer. Boring color palette, but great mold, posability, and transformation hands down. And it's no secret that Dead End's a disappointing retool of him. And it's a great shame too, because besides the limited posing, if the back of the car was handled with a lot more care, then my spirit animal Decepticon would have joined his mold brother in the highest plane of my rankings. But alas, it was for naught. Goddamn quality control. An enhanced version of the Siege Prowl mold that definitely feels equal to it. However, now having 2 of his mold, I can definitely say Crosscut's better because, again, silver hatchback sexy. And if you do have Crankcase, definitely cherish him, for he has the Boombox Bumper Blaster. I hate how Bulkhead's arms convert. They get stuck on these fake wheels, and getting them in can be quite annoying. But hey, look at this cool stuff he comes with! The robot mode saves this figure, but I'm confident the conversion will stump you. The side panels are a downgrade from the original G2. However, this color scheme is such eye candy. It's absolutely not the guy people wanted, but I bought and haven't let go of him for a reason, so who am I to complain? Oh, and the trailer's a step up from ER Prime, but that's not saying much. A stunning retool of Jazz, especially in car mode. Now that's all I got. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the mountain range. Then came his chainsaw and slashed the f***er out. A clunky demake of the Prime Wars sports car mold that wasn't very good to begin with is marred by clear plastic and a giant paperweight the designers want us to call a cape, but is made like this so the transformation, something teetering on the edge of unbearable, could be less unbearable. Teen completion is the only reason you should buy this. On his own, stay away if you can, and somehow his brother in arms is worse. All thanks to a segregated spoiler that does not, I repeat, does not make a very convincing axe. It's no secret that corporate meddling absolutely murdered this thing. However, I'm grateful that I didn't spend over $25 on him. So Minerva was the most expensive deluxe I ever bought until Bruticus's right arm entered the picture, and somehow the robot covered in the color normally associated with the dumper is not the crappy one. A bit of a harsh statement, but a justified one. If the seller misplacing the light bar was the only problem, then I'd give this thing a pass. However, thanks to a clunky conversion and a junker of an alt mode, okay, it's not that bad, but these feet not plugging in and the shoulder pylons aren't winning you any favors. And while the robot mode saves her a bit, I can't help but feel regret for the purchase. Especially months later when Walgreens finally stocked the on their website. Whoa, you can't just call a little girl a The human and the robot were separated at the end of the series, so I'll call her what I want. You stupid bit, like know-it-all If you still want this figure and have 2 Elitas for some reason, just customize one of them. It's not worth scalper prices. Walgreens toy sections are more abandoned than any room for movies made in the past 2 years, and Medics is sitting on Hasbro Pulse, so hopefully this signals the end of pharmacy exclusive figures. So far it's not looking good. So far a lot of them are good, but for half of them the only way to enjoy them is to not engage with the main gimmick of the franchise. You know, transformation. So by law, Jaxus should be the same way because he doesn't transform into his normal alt mode, right? Well, nope. Okay, the alt mode is definitely wrong, but A, no one remembers or likes the G2 comic, and B, I'd rather transform this 50 times than Minerva or Bulkhead twice. It also helps that Jaxus has posability on par with everyone's baby daddy for life Needlenose, so it's clear him and his ugly mug are taking home the gold, wrong alt mode and all. The Velocitron Collection, I refuse to call it that moldy beefcake of a name, is a line of serviceable repaints, but if you only have to buy one, I'd say Holler is necessary as he's essentially better Grapple, who's essentially worse Inferno. Oh, for the love of not you, dude, come back in 7 paragraphs when you're relevant again. Don't like the open mouth, but don't skip out on him if you have the option. Clampdown and Row Rocket aren't bad repaints. In fact, the former is a better Primacy than Primacy, just missing her sturdiness. And I kind of have a negative bias towards the latter as he didn't come with his gunner Siren. So to circumvent this, just give him Jax's his extra gun. Not too big on IDW, but I'm sure the fans enjoyed Blur. From my experiences with Crosscred, I'm sure Burnout is great because she's a black repaint. Why the f couldn't I find these in America? That got cancelled and my opinion is clear on these two. However, another standout for the wrong reasons is Override. I already talked about her in a short and my stance is still the same. She's absolutely a deluxe pretending to be a Voyager, but has enough class to not insult you about it unlike 86 Hot Rod. If you're a Unicron Trilogy fan, you already got this. But for people that aren't, purchase at your own risk, but I promise you won't be disappointed. Just really hope those Planet Cubes are compatible with him. This next figure wasn't released in the subline, but released around the same time, and it is Motormaster, the commander for this line. Convergent on the main bot is panel heavy, and his sword looks stupid no matter which mode you're in. But if you have the other Stunticons, there's no reason for you not to get him. Speaking of which, combining them into Menasor is creatively satisfying and brain-numbing at the same time. So I do this instead, and posability isn't hampered. In fact, doing this gives him the most dangerous knee pads of all time. To his components at least. Pre-ordering figures you want is the name of the game, and going to retail is more of a hindrance than anything. It took a long while to get that fact stuck in my head, but now that it is, I can positively say completing Dashi was an annoying task that I never want to put myself through again. But if you knew the right resources, the challenge was worth it if I do say so. You gotta be f***ing kidding me. Another figure I technically reviewed already. However, unlike Nitro Convoy, my outlook has soured a bit. His conversion feels less incomplete than modern video games, but still needs a lot of work, and this landing gear will not stay in place. But still, he has a charming yet goofy look, and he won't break the bank if you decide to pick him up. However, Iguanus is a better use of your payment. Do I even need to explain the problem here? Use the fan mode. If not, stay away. Fantastic imposable robot mode, great play mode, but say it with me, transformation could have been better. His loyalty knows no bounds. Therefore, he was rewarded with his best figure. I won't be taking questions at this time. Finally, a transformation that isn't pure dread, though I believe I have his legs in the wrong configuration. But if I do, I prefer it this way. The Ant mode should look more like the Hive instead of a Bug's Life. However, one thing shuts down all those blemishes. The loyalty would be greatly offended if you choose to deny this psychopath. However, his leader is definitely trumping him not in terms of bot mode looks, but in the fact that I no longer need to buy any dragon figures again. Despite being half mechanical, he checks all the boxes for what to find in a mythical beast, has appropriate posability in each mode, going between those modes is simple but effective, and he comes with a flame piece to boot. So now the real question is, full stamp of approval? Yes. This is technically the end, but have you guys noticed something? In terms of releases, the Decepticons are kicking the shit out of the Autobots. Wave 2 and 3's majority are nothing but cons. They're the ones who got the Commander class who's also a combiner. Honestly, if Hasbro gave me billions of dollars to make another crappy TV trilogy, then Prime would be Nemesis in disguise sending the Autobots on a wild goose chase for Energon that doesn't exist, only to lead to a final episode where he would be exposed, Skids would die in Minerva's arms, the real ringleader would be Jaxus, Dragantron would show up out of nowhere, and the Autobots would be in shambles with no leader or base because Bomb Burst, well, burst Metroplex's bomb if you know what I mean. But if they gave me the option to make a Combo Nanazo throwback game with a health bar, better graphics, and no life service bullshit, then collecting the 7 secret letters and entering a door you couldn't see in level 3 because it's set in a cave. Right before the final boss, Holiday Prime would show up and give everyone a power boost, giving you the good ending, and the Autobots the confidence to never give up in the name of justice to find themselves a new leader in the Legacy Evolution game because my studio would never— Okay, pump the brakes on that rant before it careens off a cliff. Yeah, I'm adding Holiday Prime in because his figure was released around this time, and to bump that 23 to a 24 so the even number squad can continue to reign supreme on this planet. His transformation stands out from other primes without being a mess. And if I'm gonna be honest, I prefer this deco to this Prime truck than the normal red and blue. It works as a Santa suit, but the trailer absolutely needs some toy hacks because this is straight up incomplete without them. But no matter which version you get, full stamp of approval. Legacy's first year was experimental to say the least. I find the sequel line was better in terms of conversion looking at them both back to back, but a new style was set in stone 3 years ago and this trilogy looks to continue what it started while expanding its roster beyond the 80s and 90s. Legacy crawled so Evolution and United could run, and we can't deny it took a lot to get to this point. The same can be said for this channel. Dear Lord, there's no way I can thank you guys enough for all the love and support you've given the channel in the past few weeks. For real, last year was a travesty and I was ready to quit video making as a whole at times. But thanks to everybody commenting, liking, and sharing everything, it shows that I'm making something you guys want to see. So with that being said, if you guys have or don't have any of the figures shown here today, then let's start a conversation in the comments about stuff you do or don't like about them. And to anyone new who enjoyed the video and want to see more, then feel free to like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on my honest-to-God opinions. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until we meet again, may whatever time or place treat you well.
That's 49 cents of spilt milk dripping all over my table. Somebody gonna drink this milk.